Good afternoon, I'm Tiro, and this is a navigation guide to the Tangled Depths in Guild Wars 2. The purpose of this guide is to illustrate the overall structure of the Tangled Depths and how to get from point A to point B easily using the in-game map. This guide will not cover hero points, points of interest, map completion, or the meta events in the Tangled Depths. When you first get to the Tangled Depths, obtain the Nuhak Wallows Mastery and the Itzel Poison Mastery. Both of these are as essential as bouncing mushrooms and updraft gliding on the previous maps. Although the Tangled Depths consists of 4 layers, in practice there are only 2. The first layer, which exists on the 3rd level, are the ley line tunnels. Central to the map is a ley line confluence with a waypoint, and radiating out of it are 4 straight tunnels. These tunnels go in a straight line, they have no platforms, and are named after the various outposts on the map. In each tunnel, there's a road that leads to the outpost, or a Nuhak Wallows that will give you a quick shortcut to the outpost. The first one is the Ogre Camp. It is a basic valley that's easily navigatable. Connecting to it is the Great Tree. You can pass straight through it, or climb up its ledges and stairwells, ramps to the top where there is a flax garden. On the eastern side of the Ogre Camp are a series of cliffs and bouncing mushrooms. Using these mushrooms you can get to the top of this area and explore the other cliffs that surround it. Going counterclockwise, the second camp outpost is the Scarbvouac. It is one of 3 places that has a repair anvil. The Scarbvouac is donut in shape, or at least circular in style. From the waypoint, you follow the roads around into the valley and back towards it. When instead of reaching the waypoint, there is a cliff. Use the bounce mushrooms to get back on top. The noticeable feature in the bivouac is this crater in the northeastern section. There are several mushrooms, normal mushrooms, not bouncing types, that form stairwells. You can climb up the stairwells and reach the various upper cliffs of the bivouac, and cross which way you would like using gliding. If you keep climbing up the stairwell, you get to a little waterfall which leads to the Waterways, which will be explained later. The next outpost is Rata Novus. It is rather small in size. It consists of a circular roadway with a lake and platforms in the middle. To connect to the lab, you must travel to this point over here and take a left turn to follow this road. This is the only way to get to the research lab. So from the waypoint, you may hug the main roads, go around, make a left in the tunnels, and reach it. Or you can swim over the lake, go underneath the platform, and get some bouncing mushrooms to go back through this one-way path. From the lab, you can climb up the stairs and get into this little mushroom forest. From this little mushroom area, it spits you right back out to Rata Novus. And the final outpost is the Nuhak one, which is the most complicated. The actual outpost consists of this entire jungle area on the outside. But Teku Nuhak is this giant tree village. It's very easily to forget when you're traversing this area that you are inside the village and not in the outer jungle. It is the 3rd place to have a repair anvil. The anvil is in the attic and the waypoint is in the basement. To get to the basement, just follow the paths clockwise. To get to the attic, follow the paths counterclockwise. Now, with the 4 outposts and the 4 lanes covered, we have what I call the caverns. There are several in the Tangled Depths, and actually what makes its entanglement. The first is the jungle descent here. It consists of various caverns that lead downwards towards mushrooms and waterfalls and so forth. But there's also a pit on top which can be easily accessed from the starting point. So from the starting point, we cross this little brook over here and make a right to this tree over yonder. As we can see kind of here, this structure is just typical of the way of the depths. There's a waterfall, there's step ladder ledges, and then we have this odd sloping tree here, which we are now still climbing up. And voila, the giant crater pit. From the top of this tree, by this bush, we can reach over to this tree here. Doesn't look like it's a landing place, but we can. So we get a running start, leap, glide, and land. We get into this little hole over here, and right on the outer edge, there's an updraft. And we are into the Tangled Descent pit. As we can see, huge valley, lots of branches, lots of trees, waterfalls and descents, and you can easily get lost. That is the ideal of this map. Using these airways, we can actually make our way to the top of the ogre tree. And some other interesting points of interest, not to be covered in this guide. We make it up to this platform. As we can see on the map, we are on top of the great tree. We can go back into the Tangled Descent, or we can go to the Flax Garden on top and come out of the Ogre Camp. Now, as I reposition myself for more safely, to the south of the starting point, we have the Deep Root Sink. This is a series of tunnels that are dark. You may use a torch that you can pick up in the tunnels, or an actual torch weapon to light your path. Half of the tunnels covered in mushrooms, and the other half are covered in vampires. Going clockwise in the map, we have the Czech Stronghold. This one is accessed through the Newhawk ley line tunnel. You go all the way straight through, skip the wallows from the village, and take the wallows at the very end of the cavern. This will take you to the Czech Stronghold, which you will need Itzel Poison to survive. You can follow it to go into a little lake that will take you to the Waterways. Also notice that in the Tangled Descent, if you get into the other underneath caverns, you'll get to this tiny little river that will spit you out into the lane if you follow the waterfalls. Going clockwise on the map, we then have the Decayed Hive between Tehu Newhawk and Rata Novus. This is just a series of major roads that go up and down the map and sideways. There's various shelves and platforms, but not as annoying as the Tangled Descent over here. Moving onwards, the final area is the Dragon's Passage. Following the Ogre Lane, we cross into a single road, which leads us around this passage guarded by Mordremoth minions to the final waypoint. Now from the waypoint, after going through the long road, there's a series of ledges, bounce mushrooms, and platforms that can reach the upper areas of the Dragon's Passage. It's nothing to merit in elevation change, but one enough to cross over horizontally. From the upper platforms, you can go to this giant air tunnel here, which will lead you all the way to the top, depth level 1, and will spit you out into the Tangled Descent. Or you can follow all the way down and enter into the Waterways, which will be covered later. The third section to the area it's not very big and kind of pointless, is what I called the tunnel here in Tehu-Nuhak. It is easily accessed from the basement. The tunnel actually serves not much purpose for the game, aside from story transitioning. So here in the base, we have 3 wallows, a tunnel leading down, which is easily missed because it is purple in color, and a ramp leading up. If we follow the tunnel downwards, we will get into the tunnel, trademarked. There's nothing here but a bunch of bats, and it leads to the decayed hive and the underground lake. Also, connecting to the Nuhak Wallows is a very small subsection is called the Grub Pit. The Grub Pit is a very small section on the road between the main point and Tehu-Nuhak. It is used for the meta events, but it's just basically where the bugs are and easily accessed. Now to illustrate the trick to Tehu-Nuhak, to go from the basement to the attic is you walk clockwise up the ramps. And even though the map is all clustery and everything, just ignore it. The actual screen map is not helpful because it frequently transitions between levels even if you are on the same road. So while the main roads here in the Tangled Depths are about as windy as the Shiver Peaks, or Jeriden Fields, or Kessex Hills, it's actually very easy. So as you can see right here on the map, I just transitioned from the top and the bottom. As you follow the main roads in the Tangled Depths, there will be frequent transitions. Ignore them. So here we are on the anvil, going clockwise. Also on the map, we can enter the tunnel from a Czech door, which is right over here. And here we can just illustrate how large the tree is, and you may not even realize that you are in the tree. Czech doors are somewhere around the map. They are circular in shape with blue chaku in it. When you get up to the door, you can interact with it to enter it as other wallows points. And here, now we are fully into the tunnel. It just leads to the village, to the lake, and to the decayed hive. Now, as stated before, to get from any area, just follow the roads. So here from the starting point, if we follow the main road, and ignore the mini-map as it changes in elevations flashing between top and bottom, you can still make its way easily. So we ignore the flashing as we get into those curl around points, wind up over around here, and here we end up in Nuhak Wallows. We could do the same going south to the Ogre Lane. So if we ignore the flashing, we kind of get through here and just follow the roads to the Ogre Camp. What causes the flashing is that these roads are hilly in nature, and since there's actual depths in Heart of Thorns, it actually goes on different maps. But traversing it is no different, as I stated before, as it is Shiver Peaks. Now the final area of the map are the Waterways at the very bottom of the Tangled Depths. You can access them only at the endpoints of the tunnels. So here, 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 whoopsie, map integration worked a little too well, the underground lake, and so on and so forth. Easiest access is from the underground lake, so go to the basement of the wallows, a Taunuhak, get in the tunnel, and walk out. You will need Itzel poison to survive the surface of the lake. You may also enter from the waterfall by the Scarbvouac, and the final easiest area to enter it is the Rata Novus lake. The Waterways consists of very strong enemies, or at least annoying enemies, such as jellyfish, armorfish, and fangfish. And at the end of certain points, there are barracudas. But to get to this from Rata Novus is you jump right into the lake. You see this little surface data entry, and as you climb down, rotate the camera. And then you see this little purple tunnel, and you see it horizontally, and you can swim all the way down to the underwater ways. Along the ways are these beacons from the Exalted. You pick them up, and they will protect you from the monsters, including the barracudas. Exploring the ends of these tunnels are left as an exercise to the players. So, until next time, I am Tiro, and have fun gaming. See ya!